He was the voice, old blue eyes, an absolute American icon. But he was also a brawler, a target of the FBI, and an alleged associate of the mob. In this explainer, we're going to try and unravel the enigma that is Frank Sinatra.
To really get Sinatra, you kind of have to hold these two images in your head at the exact same time. On one side, you've got the voice. The sophisticated, charming performer the whole world fell in love with. And on the other side, you've got this enigma, a guy followed by rumors of mob ties and a pretty famous violent temper. So how could he possibly be both? To unpack this legacy, we've boiled his entire story down into three key themes: an unstoppable drive, a glamorous charisma, and these mysterious connections. If you put them all together, they're really the keys to understanding the man behind all that music.
Okay, first up, unstoppable. And this wasn't just, a personality trait for him. It defined him from his very first moments on Earth. Sinatra's life literally began with a fight for his first breath, which kind of set the stage for a lifetime of defying the odds.
His birth was so traumatic, he was over 13 pounds, pulled out with forceps, that the doctor actually declared him dead on arrival. It was his grandmother who picked him up, held him under cold water, and revived him. From that incredibly dramatic start, his rise was just meteoric. He went from a local singing group to sparking what they called Sinatra mania, and becoming really America's first ever teen idol. And to put his early fame into perspective, just think about this number, 40,000. That is how many phone-in votes his group, the Hoboken Four, got to win a national talent show. In an era with no social media, no internet, that kind of response was absolutely staggering. But, that unstoppable momentum, well, it couldn't last forever. His career hit a wall, and it hit it hard. And his reaction to that fall is where the mysterious part of his story really starts to come into focus.
So by the late 1940s, the magic was just gone. He had this very public, very scandalous affair with the actress Ava Gardner while he was still married, and at the same time, musical tastes were changing. His popularity just cratered. The industry that built him up was now basically calling him a has-been. And on top of all that, he was trapped. His original bandleader, a guy named Tommy Dorsey, had him locked into this ironclad contract that took, get this, 43% of his earnings for life. Sinatra desperately wanted out, but legally, his hands were completely tied.
And this is where the story takes a really dark turn. Because he was stuck legally, he allegedly turned to some, let's say, extra-legal solutions. The rumor, and it's one that followed him for his entire life, is that he used his underworld connections to get out of that contract.
The allegation is pretty specific, that mobsters paid Tommy Dorsey a visit and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And these connections apparently ran deep, his family's roots traced back to the very same Sicilian town as the infamous mob boss Lucky Luciano. Now, the FBI took these ties so seriously that their file on him stayed open for 4 decades.
But after hitting absolute rock bottom, Sinatra's unstoppable nature just roared back to life. He went on to engineer one of the greatest comebacks in the history of entertainment. He heard about this dramatic role in the movie From Here to Eternity, and he just pursued it relentlessly. He begged the studio for the part, and he eventually accepted this shockingly low salary of just $8,000. That's a tiny, tiny fraction of what he used to command. But this wasn't just another role for him. You have to see it for what it was. A desperate, all-or-nothing bet. This was his last chance to prove to the world, and probably to himself, that he was more than just some washed-up crooner.
And that gamble, it paid off bigger than anyone could have possibly imagined. His performance as Private Maggio was so raw, so emotional. It didn't just win over audiences. It won him an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. And just like that, Frank Sinatra was back on top.
So now he's back on top, and his glamorous persona just goes into overdrive. But that mysterious side, it never really went away. He wasn't just a star anymore. He was becoming the chairman of the board.
He really did become the chairman. He held court in Vegas with the Rat Pack, he founded his own record label so he could have total control, and he even got deep into presidential politics, allegedly using his connections to help get JFK elected.
And this duality, it really defined his personality. He could be unbelievably generous. One story says he tipped a waiter $1,000 just to smash a bunch of glasses to get back at a rude manager. But he could also be explosively violent, punching executives or, in one famous tantrum, driving a golf cart straight through a casino window.
His signature song, My Way, it tells a similar story. It was never some huge #1 smash hit. Its peak position on the charts was actually kind of modest. But its real power was in its longevity. It stayed on the UK charts for a record-breaking 122 weeks. It just goes to show his career wasn't a sprint. It was a true marathon.
And the theme of that song, of a life lived to the fullest, with triumphs and regrets, but ultimately without any apologies, it resonated so profoundly with people that it became the anthem for a final farewell. It's a real testament to how deeply his whole persona connected with people.
So, in the end, what are we left with? Well, a legacy that's every bit as complex as the man himself. An icon built on unbelievable talent, sheer drive, and a whole lot of contradictions.
After an entire lifetime of fighting, of clawing his way up, of winning against all the odds, these were reportedly his final words. For the first, and really the only time, the man who was so unstoppable finally admitted defeat. And just take a look at the monumental body of work that he left behind. I mean, these numbers are just staggering, and they really speak for themselves. His relentless, unstoppable drive produced a cultural footprint that is pretty much unmatched.
And that, right there, is the central question Sinatra's life leaves us with. Can we separate the masterpiece from the very complicated creator? He was a titan of entertainment whose story is all tangled up with these dark allegations. And it's that conflict, that contradiction, that makes him such an enduring enigma and ensures his complicated legacy will be debated for a long, long time to come.